Welcome to NEXTGames Ambuscade series. This video covering October 2021's Volume 2 against Undead. Now in this video I'll go over key item acquisition, I'll go over an overview of the battle strategies that I recommend for this month, and then I'll show you 4 battle examples. First on Ninja, then Red Mage, followed by Dragoon, and then lastly showing you my battle example not using any gear swaps and simply Ambuscade gear and weapons. Let's now move on to key item acquisition. For this month it's quite simple. You just need a single undead kill for your first run of the day, or 3 undead kills for multiple runs in a day. My favorite spot for these is to go to Fei Yin, home point number 1, where you can quickly go south and encounter these ghosts that you see here and take them out. A nice bonus this month is that you need 1 undead kill or 3 undead kills for the Volume 1 key item, just like with Volume 2. Therefore, you will get both your Volume 1 and Volume 2 key items at the same time. Due to this though, this spot that you're seeing me go here for my key item may become overcamped on populated servers. Therefore, be sure to list down there in the comments any suggestions you have for getting undead kills elsewhere. Now let's go ahead and move on to battle strategies. Now this month, the single NM you need to defeat is the Winnower Jack, which is a Farmer type NM. Now Winnower Jack will be assisted by 1 to 5 spooky chanteuses depending on what difficulty you are on. And these adds are all bards. Now they cannot be killed, as once you reduce them to 1% hit points, they will reach kind of a terrorized state and freeze there for 20 to 30 seconds. They also have fairly low hit points, usually only requiring a single weapon skill to reduce to that 1% hit points. Now after you've frozen all 5 of them, you will notice that the Winnower Jack is now very susceptible to skill chains, especially light skill chains. My Radiance skill chains can hit upwards of 50 to 60,000 damage, and that's without the Naomi set. If I were to have that, it would be much closer to even 100,000 damage for your Radiance skill chains. And the problem is, this is the only real meaningful way I have found to do damage to this NM, other than end spell damage on Red Mage. Sadly, what this means is, if you can't get in enough damage to stun all 5 of the spooky chanteuses, and then get a meaningful Radiance skill chain in for the NM, you're probably in for a fairly long run of 10 to 15 minutes for each of your very difficult wins. That being said, if you still want to take this month on, let's go ahead and talk about how you can achieve it. Well, first off, the Winnower Jack will mainly use an ability called Hammerbeak, which is a hate reset and will remove any food you have on you. Now if you don't have any food up, he is going to inflict you with a status ailment of either silence, terrorize, or amnesia for a few seconds. Now obviously to skip this mechanic, you can continually be eating snacks and sweets to try and keep it so you always have a food on you, so that you don't get silenced, terrorized, or amnesia, but really, they only last for a few seconds, so I just choose to ignore that mechanic entirely. Now he's going to use a staff and the staff weapon skills to skill chain and magic burst, though none of it is really much of a threat. Even with my shadows down, I was never really worried at any point that I was going to be taken out in this run. So that brings us to 2 strategies that I can recommend for this month. The first strategy is to quickly reduce all of the chanteuses' hit points to 1%, and then get in 1 to 2 light skill chains on that main Jack before they start to wake up. When they do start to wake up, they will immediately be recovered to 100% hit points. You then want to go back to them, reduce them to 1% with a weapon skill. Once all 5 are back at 1%, go back to the NM and continue to do damage and repeat this process until you've won. It'll take anywhere from 2 to 8 cycles usually. Now strategy 2 has you completely ignoring the chanteuses and just spamming weapon skills on the Jack until he is dead. Now this will normally end up taking you roughly 10 minutes, but is much less of a hassle than dealing with the adds every 30 seconds. And for jobs that can't put out enough damage, it can actually be a faster way to go than strategy 1. My battle examples will explain exactly when you should be using which of these 2 strategies. Now in the first battle example on my well-geared ninja, it's quite easy to take out this boss, and usually only takes me about 3 to 4 minutes. To do so, I simply use strategy 1, immediately reduce all of the chanteuses' hit points to 1%, and then try and get off a Radiance skill chain before they wake up. This will normally reduce the main boss's hit points to around 50%, and usually only taking about 2 to 3 cycles. Now in the second battle example, we're going to be on Red Mage, who I cannot Radiance skill chain with currently. Here, we are going to rely on our end spell damage to quickly take out those 5 adds, and then get in standard light skill chains with back-to-back CDCs to take out the M as quickly as possible. This is the way I envision most solo players taking this on, is by using the standard light skill chains. Using this method, you're going to use anywhere from 4 to 8 cycles to take out this NM. So by the end of this run, you are going to be fairly frustrated with how many times you had to go back and reduce all of those Chantuse's hit points to 1%. This is about the crossover of when you should be using Strategy 1 to Strategy 2. Which brings me to our third battle example on Dragoon, which is certainly where we're using Strategy 2. Here, Dragoon I found was unable to take out and stun all 5 of the Chantuses, and then get in any meaningful damage to the main farmer before they woke up. Therefore, I went ahead and went with this strategy of just focusing all my damage on the main NM and killing him as quickly as possible. Using this strategy with Dragoon, it did end up taking me 9 minutes to finish off the run, but it was far less frustrating than it was in my previous attempts with Dragoon to continually try and stun all of those adds and then get in some meaningful damage before they woke. This brings us to the fourth and final battle example. Now here, I'm on my ninja, but now we're not going to use any gear swapping, so I'll be in the same set of gear for the entire run, and I'm only going to use Ambuscade, gear, and weapons, giving you an impression of what a lightly geared ninja could accomplish who is not using gear swap. Now in this setup, we definitely can't put out enough damage to keep all of those adds at bay and get in any meaningful damage to the farmer. This is compounded by the fact that we cannot do light skill chains since we lack the Hishi that we had in our first battle example. Now I normally should have just switched to Strategy 2 here, as that probably would have finished this run in about a minute less than I did. But I did want to show you just the cycle that you can get stuck in if you continually are trying to stun these adds without having enough DPS. So in this battle example, I really stick with that for the first 80% of the main mob's hit points, and this run ends up taking me a total of 13 minutes. Compare how the first 80% goes to the last 20% when I decide to just go ahead and blitz the NM. Also keep in mind that if you aren't using a tank that can keep hate on all of those different adds, it's more than likely going to be a very chaotic run for you as they're running around hitting all of your trust. Hopefully that information and these battle examples will give you a good idea of what strategy you should be using this month. Let's go ahead and show you now those battle examples. Enjoy the runs, everyone. That's going to be it for October 2021's Volume 2 Ambuscade. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great month out there. Stay safe and stay healthy.